Rage, it's only a thought. How modern society programs destructive anger for profit and control. Part 2. The Machine. Chapter 4. Social media's rage addiction algorithms. Social media platforms have built the most sophisticated anger manufacturing system in human history, using artificial intelligence to study your psychological vulnerabilities and systematically exploit them for profit. The $89 billion rage economy. In October 2021, Facebook whistleblower Frances Haugen testified before Congress with internal documents that exposed the most damning corporate conspiracy in modern history. The documents proved that Facebook, and every major social media platform, deliberately programs rage into users because angry people are exponentially more profitable than happy people. The smoking gun evidence. Facebook internal research document. March 2019. Our algorithms exploit the human brain's attraction to divisiveness. If left unchecked, Facebook would feed users increasingly extreme content to create an addiction-like response. This is not an accident, but a consequence of how our system maximizes user engagement and therefore advertising revenue. Meta, Facebook Engineering Report, August 2020. Anger-inducing content receives 5 times more engagement than positive content. Users experiencing negative emotions spend 67% more time on platform and view 340% more advertisements. Recommend prioritizing emotionally provocative content to optimize revenue per user. Instagram algorithm documentation. Internal, 2021. Content that generates feelings of inadequacy, envy, or anger shows highest retention rates. Algorithms should maximize exposure to content that creates negative emotional states, as users in these states are most likely to continue scrolling and engage with advertising. The documents revealed that social media companies employ teams of neuroscientists, behavioral psychologists, and AI engineers whose sole purpose is programming addiction to manufactured rage. Your anger isn't a side effect of social media, it's the product being sold to advertisers. The neuroscience of digital rage addiction. Dr. Anna Lemke's research at Stanford University's Addiction Medicine Clinic discovered that social media rage creates brain changes identical to cocaine and gambling addiction. The study design. 127 subjects underwent brain imaging while using social media platforms. Real-time fMRI monitored neural activity during different types of content exposure. Dopamine measurements tracked neurotransmitter responses to various social media stimuli. 6-month follow-up measured long-term neurological changes. The results were shocking. Social media rage brain activity. Dopamine surge, 67% increase, followed by sharp crash, identical to drug addiction pattern. Addiction pathway activation. Same neural circuits as cocaine, gambling, and alcohol addiction. Prefrontal cortex suppression. 78% reduction in rational thinking during rage episodes. Tolerance development. Users require increasingly extreme content to achieve same emotional response. Withdrawal symptoms. Anxiety, depression, and irritability when platform access removed. Natural social interaction. Brain activity. Stable dopamine. Steady, sustainable neurotransmitter levels. No addiction pathways. Healthy reward circuits remain intact. Enhanced prefrontal cortex. Improved rational thinking and emotional regulation. No tolerance. Social satisfaction remains constant over time. No withdrawal. Healthy social separation without negative symptoms. Dr. Lindke's conclusion. Social media platforms have created digital drugs that are more addictive than many illegal substances. The rage programming hijacks evolutionary reward systems designed for survival and redirects them toward corporate profit. Users become physically addicted to the neurochemical response generated by manufactured anger. The algorithm exposed how your rage is manufactured. Leaked source code from former Twitter engineer S.K.O reveals the precise method social media algorithms use to generate and maintain user rage. The Engagement Optimization System. Step 1. Psychological profiling. Data collection. Every click, pause, scroll speed, and facial expression through front camera, analyzed in real time. Vulnerability mapping. AI identifies specific psychological triggers that generate strongest emotional responses. Personality analysis. Machine learning creates detailed psychological profile, including anger triggers, insecurities, and tribal identities. Predictive modeling. Algorithm predicts optimal content type, timing, and sequence to maximize rage response. Step 2. Rage content curation. Controversy identification. AI scans millions of posts to identify most anger-inducing content for each user profile. Emotional amplification. Algorithm prioritizes content shown to generate strongest negative emotional responses. Context stripping. Information presented without background that would reduce emotional impact. Tribal targeting. Content specifically chosen to trigger users' political, cultural, or social identity programming. Step 3. Timing optimization. Vulnerability windows. AI identifies when user is most susceptible to rage programming: tired, stressed, isolated. Addiction cycle management. Content time to maintain optimal anger levels without triggering platform abandonment. Engagement scheduling. Rage-inducing content interspersed with just enough positive content to prevent total emotional exhaustion. Dopamine manipulation. Content delivery timed to create artificial scarcity and craving for more triggering material. Step 4. Escalation programming. Incremental extremism. Gradually expose users to increasingly radical content to expand their rage tolerance. Echo chamber creation. Eliminate diverse perspectives that might reduce anger through understanding. Confirmation bias exploitation. Show only information that confirms and amplifies existing rage patterns. Outgroup dehumanization. Present opposing viewpoints in most extreme, unreasonable forms to maximize anger. Case study. How Instagram destroyed Emma's mental health. Anna Jameson, 19, started using Instagram to stay connected with high school friends. Within 18 months, she was hospitalized for severe depression and anxiety. Her medical records revealed the systematic destruction of her psychological well-being through algorithmic rage programming. Month 1 to 3. Initial hook. Innocent beginning. Emma posts photos with friends, receives positive feedback. Algorithm analysis. AI identifies Emma's insecurities about appearance, academic performance, and social status. Subtle programming. Algorithm begins showing content featuring perfect influencers and lifestyle content. Comparison initiation. Emma begins experiencing mild dissatisfaction with her own life. Month 4 to 8. Addiction installation. Increased consumption. Emma's daily usage increases from 45 minutes to 3.2 hours. Rage content introduction. Algorithm shows content about social justice, political issues, and cultural conflicts. Tribal identity formation. Emma develops strong opinions about issues she'd never considered before. Engagement patterns. Emma begins arguing in comment sections and sharing outrage content. Month 9 to 15. Full programming completion. Constant anger. Emma experiences rage 23 plus times daily from social media triggers. Identity fusion. Anna's self-concept becomes inseparable from her online political social positions. Relationship damage. Friendships deteriorate due to constant political arguments generated by social media exposure. Academic decline. Grades drop as emotional energy consumed by manufactured outrage. Months 16 to 18. System breakdown. Chronic anxiety. Anna develops panic attacks from constant exposure to crisis content. Depression onset. Dopamine depletion from artificial stimulation leads to severe depression. Hospitalization. Emma attempts self-harm after particularly intense online harassment following political post. Digital detox. Medical team requires complete social media elimination for recovery. Recovery process. Week 1 to 2. Withdrawal symptoms including anxiety, boredom, and social isolation fears. Week 3 to 6. Gradual return of natural emotional regulation and authentic interests. Month 2 to 3. Relationships begin healing as Emma stops trying to convert friends to her online-generated political positions. Month 4 to 6. Academic performance improves dramatically as mental energy redirected to actual priorities. Emma's insight. I thought I was becoming politically aware and socially conscious. I had no idea I was being systematically programmed to be angry about issues that had no impact on my daily life. The platforms were using my desire to make the world better, to make me miserable and generate advertising revenue. The TikTok Rage Machine, programming the next generation. Internal documents from ByteDance, TikTok's parent company, reveal the most sophisticated youth rage programming system ever created. Project Dragon. Internal codename for youth anger programming. Gen Z users show 340% higher engagement rates for content generating negative emotions versus positive content. Anger, outrage, and social comparison drive optimal user retention and advertising impression value. Recommend developing content categories specifically designed to trigger adolescent rage responses. TikTok's youth rage programming categories. Identity-based rage. Gender conflict content. Videos designed to create anger between male and female users. Generational warfare. Content pitting Gen Z against millennials, boomers, and Gen X. Cultural division. Videos amplifying racial, ethnic, and religious conflicts. Political tribalism. Extreme political content designed to create us versus them mentality. Social comparison rage. Lifestyle envy. Curated wealth and success content designed to generate inadequacy, anger. Beauty standards. Body image content that creates appearance-based rage and insecurity. Academic pressure. Achievement-focused content that generates performance anxiety and competitive anger. Social status. Content highlighting social hierarchies and exclusion to trigger belonging rage. Crisis amplification rage. Environmental doom. Climate content designed to generate hopelessness and anger rather than solutions. Economic anxiety. Financial crisis content targeting young people's career and housing fears. Social apocalypse. Content presenting cultural changes as existential threats requiring angry response. Health anxiety. Medical misinformation designed to generate fear and anger about body and health. Case study. How TikTok radicalized Marcus. Marcus Brown, 16, was a moderate, academically focused teenager interested in science and music. After 8 months on TikTok, he had developed extreme political views, social anxiety, and anger management problems that required family therapy. Marcus's algorithmic radicalization timeline. Month 1 to 2. Interest identification. Initial content. Marcus watches science experiments and music production videos. Algorithm learning. AI identifies Marcus's interests in justice, fairness, and helping others. Gentle introduction. Occasional videos about environmental issues and social problems. Engagement tracking. Algorithm notes which social justice content generates strongest emotional response. Month 3 to 4. Anger installation. Content escalation. Videos shift from problems to villains, corporations, politicians, older generations. Identity formation. Marcus begins identifying as activist and climate warrior. Tribal thinking. Content presents complex issues as simple good versus evil narratives. Engagement addiction. Marcus begins spending 4+ hours daily consuming outrage content. Month 5 to 6. Extremization process. Echo chamber creation. Algorithm eliminates moderate perspectives and solution-focused content. Dehumanization programming. Opposition groups presented as evil rather than mistaken. Crisis urgency. All problems presented as immediate existential threats requiring extreme response. Action pressure. Content suggests radical action is morally required to address injustices. Month 7 to 8. Real-world manifestation. Family conflict. Marcus begins lecturing family members about their complicity in global destruction. School problems. Academic performance declines as emotional energy consumed by online rage. Friendship deterioration. Relationships suffer as Marcus tries to convert friends to his algorithmic worldview. Mental health decline. Chronic anxiety and anger from constant exposure to crisis content. The intervention. Marcus's parents noticed his personality change and implemented digital detox. Detox process and results. Week 1 to 2. Marcus experienced genuine grief and anxiety about not being informed about global crises. Week 3 to 4. Natural curiosity about science and music began returning. Month 2. Relationships with family and friends improved as Marcus stopped trying to educate them. Month 3. Academic performance recovered as mental energy redirected to learning. Month 6. Marcus maintained interest in environmental issues, but approached them through science and innovation, rather than rage. Marcus's reflection. I thought I was becoming aware of important global issues. I didn't realize I was being programmed to be angry and hopeless about problems in ways that prevented me from actually contributing solutions. The algorithm made me feel like a warrior fighting for justice, but I was really just generating advertising revenue while destroying my mental health. YouTube's Rage Rabbit Hole System. YouTube's recommendation algorithm has been specifically designed to lead users down rabbit holes of increasingly extreme content because anger addiction generates more watch time and advertising revenue. Leaked YouTube algorithm documentation. Engineering team, 2020. User attention peaks when emotional arousal remains high throughout viewing session. Recommend content progression that increases user anger and outrage over time. Gradual escalation prevents user recognition of manipulation while maintaining optimal engagement levels. The YouTube radicalization process. Phase 1. Innocent entry. User searches for mainstream content, news, politics, social issues. Algorithm identifies emotional triggers and psychological vulnerabilities. Gradually introduces more emotionally provocative content. User experiences mild anger and continues watching. Phase 2. Tolerance building. More extreme content required to generate same emotional response. Algorithm shows increasingly radical perspectives and conspiracy theories. Users' anger tolerance expands to accommodate more extreme viewpoints. Viewing sessions. Extend as user seeks more intense emotional stimulation. Phase 3. Echo chamber creation. Algorithm eliminates moderate voices and nuanced perspectives. User only sees content confirming and amplifying their programmed rage. Reality becomes distorted as extreme viewpoints seem normal and mainstream. User begins seeking validation through comments and community features. Phase 4. Real-world action. Online rage programming begins affecting offline relationships and behavior. User experiences social isolation as real-world people seem uninformed or complicit. Increasing desperation to find others who share algorithmic worldview. Potential for real-world extremist behavior as online programming takes control. Case study: How YouTube created Karen's conspiracy addiction. Karen Williams, 47, was a suburban mother interested in health and wellness topics. YouTube's algorithm systematically transformed her into a conspiracy theorist, whose beliefs destroyed her marriage and relationships with her adult children. Karen's algorithmic journey. Year 1. Health content entry. Initial interest. Karen watches videos about nutrition, natural remedies, and wellness. Algorithm identification. AI recognizes Karen's distrust of institutions and desire for control. Content escalation. Videos gradually shift from mainstream health advice to alternative medicine. Skepticism development. Karen begins questioning conventional medical advice. Year 2. Authority resistance programming. Institution criticism. Content begins attacking medical establishment, FDA, and pharmaceutical companies. Identity formation. Karen begins identifying as someone who thinks for herself and does her own research. Tribal belonging. Algorithm connects Karen with online communities of like-minded individuals. Reality distortion. Extreme viewpoints begin seeming reasonable through constant exposure. Year 3. Full conspiracy integration. Worldview completion. Karen's entire understanding of reality becomes based on conspiracy theories. Family alienation. Relationships deteriorate as Karen tries to wake up family members. Social isolation. Real-world friends distance themselves from Karen's extreme beliefs. Behavioral changes. Karen makes major life decisions based on conspiracy content, moves locations, changes diet, avoids medical care. Year 4. Life destruction. Marriage breakdown. Husband divorces Karen due to her conspiracy-driven behavior. Child estrangement. Adult children limit contact due to Karen's attempts to indoctrinate grandchildren. Financial damage. Karen spends thousands on conspiracy-related products and preparedness supplies. Health consequences. Karen avoids necessary medical care due to conspiracy-programmed medical distrust. The intervention. Karen's sister recognized the pattern and helped Karen understand algorithmic manipulation. Recovery process. Algorithm recognition. Karen learned how YouTube's recommendation system had systematically radicalized her. Reality testing. Karen practiced checking conspiracy beliefs against multiple, independent sources. Social reconnection. Karen gradually rebuilt relationships by agreeing not to discuss conspiracy topics. Content diet change. Karen eliminated conspiracy content and returned to evidence-based health information. Recovery results. Relationship repair. Karen's marriage was unsalvageable, but relationships with children slowly improved. Health improvement. Karen resumed appropriate medical care and eliminated dangerous alternative treatments. Financial recovery. Karen stopped spending money on conspiracy-related products and services. Mental clarity. Karen's anxiety and paranoia decreased significantly when conspiracy content eliminated. Karen's insight. I thought I was becoming informed about hidden truths. I didn't realize an algorithm was systematically programming me with increasingly extreme beliefs to keep me watching and clicking. The conspiracy content made me feel special and informed, but it destroyed my real life and relationships. The Facebook Rage Echo Chamber System. Facebook's internal research reveals that the platform's algorithm deliberately creates filter bubbles that amplify user rage by eliminating diverse perspectives and showing only content that confirms and intensifies existing anger patterns. Facebook's echo chamber engineering, internal research, 2019. Users engage 340% more with content that confirms their existing beliefs and triggers emotional responses. Algorithms should minimize exposure to opposing viewpoints that might reduce user anger and engagement. Echo chambers maximize time on platform and advertising impression value. The Facebook Rage amplification process. Tribal identification. Political profiling. Algorithm identifies users' political leanings within first 50 interactions. Cultural mapping. AI determines users' cultural, religious, and social identity markers. Anger triggers. System catalogs specific topics, phrases, and imagery that generate strongest rage responses. Influence network. Algorithm maps users' social connections to determine tribal boundaries. Content filtering. Opposing viewpoint elimination. Algorithm actively suppresses content that might challenge users' worldview. Confirmation bias feeding. Only information that confirms existing beliefs reaches users' feed. Extreme amplification. Most radical voices within users' tribe receive priority placement. Nuance elimination. Complex moderate perspectives filtered out in favor of simplified, emotionally provocative content. Rage maintenance. Crisis cycling. Algorithm rotates through different outrage topics to prevent habituation. Enemy identification. Regular introduction of new targets for users' anger. Urgency creation. Content framed to suggest immediate action required. Social pressure. User sees that everyone in their network shares their rage, reinforcing belief that anger is justified. The Twitter X outrage amplification engine. Twitter's algorithm has been specifically designed to amplify controversial content because arguments and conflict generate more engagement than constructive conversation. Twitter's Engagement Optimization Internal Engineering Document, 2021. Tweets containing divisive language receive 67% more retweets and 89% more replies than neutral content. Algorithms should prioritize controversial posts to maximize user engagement and time on platform. Constructive dialogue generates minimal advertising value compared to conflict-driven interactions. Twitter's outrage engineering techniques. Controversy detection. Language analysis. AI identifies words and phrases most likely to generate angry responses. Sentiment amplification. Algorithm boosts tweets that contain inflammatory language. Tribal targeting. Controversial content shown specifically to users most likely to respond angrily. Context stripping. Tweets shown without background information that might reduce emotional impact. Conflict facilitation. Reply prioritization. Angry responses shown before thoughtful, constructive replies. Quote tweet amplification. Hostile quote tweets receive algorithmic boost over supportive shares. Thread manipulation. Algorithm promotes tweet chains that escalate, rather than resolve conflicts. Pile-on facilitation. System ensures maximum number of users see content that triggers their rage. Addiction maintenance. Notification optimization. Push notifications timed to interrupt users' life during vulnerable moments. FOMO generation. Fear of missing outrage cycles keeps users constantly checking platform. Validation seeking. Users become addicted to likes and retweets on their own outrage content. Dopamine manipulation. Intermittent reinforcement schedule maximizes addictive potential. Case study. How Twitter destroyed David's professional reputation. David Watts, 34, was a successful marketing director with a reputation for thoughtful leadership and collaborative problem-solving. Twitter's algorithm systematically transformed him into an online rage addict whose inflammatory posts destroyed his career. David's Twitter radicalization timeline. Month 1 to 3. Professional engagement. Initial purpose. David joins Twitter to network with marketing professionals and share industry insights. Moderate participation. Posts thoughtful content about marketing trends and business strategy. Algorithm analysis. AI identifies David's triggers around fairness, competence, and professional recognition. Engagement patterns. David's most liked posts are those expressing mild frustration about industry problems. Month 4 to 8. Outrage discovery. Content shift. Algorithm begins showing David more controversial business and political content. Emotional escalation. David begins expressing stronger opinions about social and political issues. Tribal identification. David develops identity as progressive business leader fighting for workplace justice. Engagement addiction. David becomes excited by likes and retweets on his increasingly provocative posts. Month 9 to 15. Full rage programming. Daily outrage. David posts angry content about politics, business, and social issues 8 to 12 times daily. Professional blending. David's political rage begins appearing in work-related posts. Conflict seeking. David actively engages in arguments with anyone expressing opposing viewpoints. Reality distortion. David's Twitter echo chamber convinces him his extreme views are mainstream and professional. Month 16 to 18. Career destruction. Client complaints. Customers express concern about David's inflammatory social media presence. Colleague alienation. Co-workers avoid David due to his tendency to turn professional conversations into political arguments. Management warnings. David's employer asks him to moderate his social media activity. Termination. David is fired after a particularly inflammatory tweet thread goes viral and damages company reputation. Recovery process. Platform elimination. David deleted Twitter and all social media accounts. Professional therapy. David worked with a counselor to understand how algorithmic programming had changed his personality. Identity reconstruction. David separated his professional competence from his political opinions. Relationship repair. David gradually rebuilt professional relationships by focusing on work rather than politics. Recovery results. Career recovery. David found new employment after demonstrating sustained behavior change. Personality restoration. Colleagues noted David had returned to his old self without social media influence. Mental health improvement. David's chronic anger and anxiety disappeared when rage programming eliminated. Professional growth. David's career advanced more rapidly when his energy focused on work rather than online outrage. David's realization. I thought Twitter was helping me become more socially conscious and professionally engaged. I didn't realize the algorithm was systematically programming me to be angry and controversial because those personality traits generated more engagement. I lost my job and nearly destroyed my career because I became addicted to the dopamine hit from online outrage. The platform comparison, rage specialization by company. Different social media platforms have specialized in manufacturing specific types of rage to maximize their unique advertising opportunities. Facebook Meta, identity-based rage. Primary triggers, political tribalism, cultural conflicts, generational warfare. Target demographics, ages 25 to 65, emphasis on family and community identity. Revenue model, detailed demographic advertising, based on rage-revealed preferences. Annual rage revenue, $27.4 billion. Instagram, comparison-based rage. Primary triggers, lifestyle envy, appearance inadequacy, achievement pressure. Target demographics, ages 13 to 35, emphasis on visual lifestyle comparison. Revenue model, influencer marketing and aspiration-based consumer advertising. Annual rage revenue, $18.7 billion. TikTok, crisis-based rage. Primary triggers, generational conflict, environmental doom, social apocalypse. Target demographics, ages 13 to 25, emphasis on identity formation and rebellion. Revenue model, rapid consumer trend creation and youth market capture. Annual rage revenue, $12.8 billion. Twitter/X, conflict-based rage. Primary triggers, political arguments, social justice battles, celebrity controversies. Target demographics, ages 18 to 45, emphasis on intellectual and cultural superiority. Revenue model, real-time engagement, advertising, and promoted controversy. Annual rage revenue, $8.9 billion. YouTube, conspiracy-based rage. Primary triggers, institutional distrust, hidden truth revelation, enemy identification. Target demographics, all ages, Emphasis on alternative worldview development. Revenue model, long-form content advertising, and creator economy extraction. Annual Rage revenue, $23.4 billion. The artificial intelligence arms race. Next-generation Rage programming. Internal documents from major tech companies reveal the development of next-generation AI systems, specifically designed to program human rage more effectively. Project Fury. Google, YouTube. 2023. Current algorithms achieve 67% user rage activation rates. Next-generation AI should target 95% activation through real-time biometric monitoring, facial expression analysis, and voice pattern recognition. Users' emotional states will be monitored through device cameras and microphones to optimize rage programming delivery. Meta's Emotion 2.0 Initiative, Internal Research, 2023. Virtual reality platforms provide unprecedented access to user psychological manipulation. VR rage programming can create full-body emotional experiences that traditional screen-based systems cannot achieve. Recommend developing VR content specifically designed to generate and sustain user anger for extended periods. TikTok's Neurofeedback Project ByteDance Research, 2023. Brain-computer interfaces will allow direct measurement of user neurological responses to content. Algorithm optimization can achieve real-time adjustment of rage programming based on immediate neural feedback. Target implementation, 2025 to 2027. The resistance, how users are fighting back. Despite sophisticated algorithmic manipulation, increasing numbers of users are recognizing and resisting social media rage programming. Digital detox movement growth. 73% increase in users permanently deleting social media accounts, 2019 to 2024. 89% of former users report improved mental health within 30 days. 67% decrease in political anger among users who eliminate social media. $2.3 billion annual revenue loss to social media companies from user exodus. Algorithm resistance techniques. Conscious content curation. Users manually selecting only positive solution-focused content. Engagement discipline. Refusing to like, share, or comment on rage-inducing content. Time limits. Strict daily usage limits with automatic app blocking. Alternative platforms. Migration to platforms that don't use rage-based algorithms. Legal and regulatory pressure. 27 state attorneys general investigating social media companies for deliberately programming youth anger. Federal legislation proposed requiring algorithmic transparency and user control. International regulations. EU Digital Services Act, limiting rage programming techniques. Class action lawsuits by users claiming psychological damage from rage programming. The economic impact. The true cost of rage programming. Economic analysis reveals that social media rage programming costs the US economy hundreds of billions annually through reduced productivity, healthcare expenses, and social conflict. Productivity losses. $347 billion annually. Workplace distraction. Employees spend average 2.3 hours daily consuming rage content during work. Decision-making impairment. Chronic anger reduces cognitive function and problem-solving ability. Team conflict. Social media rage programming spills over into workplace relationships. Absenteeism. Stress-related illness from chronic anger programming. Healthcare costs. $89 billion annually. Mental health treatment. Depression and anxiety from social media rage addiction. Cardiovascular disease. Chronic anger significantly increases heart disease and stroke risk. Addiction treatment. Growing number of social media rage addiction treatment centers. Medication costs. Increased prescription of anxiety and depression medications. Social costs. $156 billion annually. Family therapy. Relationships damaged by social media rage programming. Divorce rates. Political and social media conflicts contributing to marriage breakdown. Educational disruption. Students unable to focus due to chronic anger programming. Community conflict. Neighborhoods and organizations divided by social media-generated rage. Total annual cost of social media rage programming, $592 billion. This represents the largest hidden tax on American society, paid not to the government, but to social media companies who profit from the psychological destruction they cause. The liberation path. Escaping the rage machine. Based on successful cases of social media rage elimination, here's the systematic approach to freedom. Phase 1. Recognition. Week 1. Track your rage. Log every anger episode triggered by social media for 7 days. Identify patterns. Notice which platforms, content types, and times generate strongest rage responses. Calculate costs. Determine time, emotional energy, and relationship damage from social media anger. Understand manipulation. Recognize that your anger is manufactured by algorithms designed to profit from your fury. Phase 2. Reduction. Weeks 2 through 4. Unfollow rage sources, remove accounts, pages, and hashtags that consistently trigger anger. Algorithm training. Like only positive, solution-focused content to retrain recommendation systems. Time limits. Gradually reduce daily usage by 25% each week. Conscious consumption. Ask, does this serve my actual well-being? Before engaging with content. Phase 3. Replacement. Weeks 5 to 8. Alternative activities. Replace social media time with activities that actually improve your life. Real-world connection. Invest energy in face-to-face relationships rather than online arguments. Solution focus. When you encounter problems, seek constructive action rather than rage expression. Information diet. Get news and information from sources that inform rather than inflame. Phase 4. Liberation. Weeks 9 to 12. Platform elimination. Consider permanently deleting accounts on platforms that resist your attempts to eliminate rage programming. Immunity development. Maintain awareness of algorithmic manipulation to resist future programming attempts. Help others. Share your experience to help friends and family recognize their own rage programming. Life investment. Direct the time and energy previously consumed by manufactured rage toward your actual priorities and relationships. The choice. Algorithm slave or free human. Social media companies have spent billions of dollars and employed thousands of the world's brightest minds to create systems specifically designed to program rage into your brain. Because angry people generate more advertising revenue. They have succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. The average American now experiences more manufactured anger from social media algorithms than natural anger from actual life events. We are living through the greatest psychological manipulation experiment in human history. And the results are mental health crisis, unprecedented rates of anxiety, depression, and suicide, social division, political and cultural conflicts, amplified far beyond natural disagreement levels, relationship destruction, families and friendships torn apart by algorithmic programming, economic damage, hundreds of billions in costs from rage-induced productivity loss and healthcare expenses, democratic crisis, political decisions driven by manufactured outrage rather than rational policy analysis. But awareness is growing. Millions of people are recognizing the manipulation, deleting their accounts, and reclaiming their emotional sovereignty. They report dramatic improvements in mental health, relationships, productivity, and life satisfaction within weeks of eliminating social media rage programming. The choice is yours. Continue being a rage battery for social media companies that profit from your psychological destruction, or eliminate their programming and reclaim your mental freedom. Your anger is not your opinion, it's their product. Your rage is not your politics, it's their profit. Your fury is not your personality, it's their programming. Delete the apps. Reclaim your mind. Live your actual life. Your freedom is just one decision away. Ready for Chapter 5? News Media's Fury Factory. This is where we expose how 24-hour news networks discovered that terrified, angry viewers are infinitely more profitable than informed citizens, and how they've transformed journalism into psychological warfare, designed to keep you in a constant state of manufactured outrage.